6 weeks, 47 matches, and it's down to the final two. In the world's second largest stadiums, two trains chugging along at a breakneck speed are on a collision course. It's inevitable, really, when you look back. And today, with a billion Indians waking up with butterflies in their tummies and wrestling with just one question: will blue be the new yellow? Welcome to Express Sports Podcast. You're listening to World Cup Daily with me, Mihir Vasavda, and my co-host Amit Kamath. And today, whatever you have planned can wait because it's time for the final. India versus Australia, World Cricket's power centre versus World Cricket's consistent on-field power, and we can't wait for the match to kick off. There's so much to talk, so much to unpack. Amit, where do we even begin?
I think, Mihir, we should start with this unfamiliar feeling of Australia being underdogs at a cricket tournament and India being the overwhelming favourites. I mean, that's a good place as any.
I don't think I'll get used to that feeling.
See, usually if you had told me maybe 2 years ago that, we would have this situation, I would have thought that maybe, Australia ke kafi players shayad injured ho, ya fir nahi aaye, ya fir there's some reason or the other. Australia has a full strength team to pick from for today's final. India, on the other hand, are missing somebody who is future captain. I mean, he's often been compared to the legendary Kapil Dev at times as an all-rounder. So we are missing somebody who is, on paper, he's irreplaceable. But somehow India has found not just a replacement, but an able replacement. And I think now we are at a stage where we are wondering, what were we even thinking about in the first few games? So it's all very unfamiliar territory for Australian fans, Indian fans, rest of the world fans.
It is. And we'll of course be talking about this as the show goes on. But for at least our generation, Amit, who were born in mid to late 80s, grew up in the 90s, jinka first proper heartbreak, agar jo hum dekhe, teenage heartbreak, at least for me, it wasn't a love affair. It was Australia trouncing India in the 2003 World Cup. And with those memories still very, very much fresh in the morning, I still kind of recall that day vividly. For our generation in particular, we wouldn't have, at least I was not expecting this day to come in my lifetime, where India have played flawlessly. We've spoken about this plenty of times, but it's worth repeating every time we talk about this World Cup because that's been the most outstanding thing. India have played like Australia of Steve Waugh and Ricky Ponting, and Australia in the role reversal are looking like the India of Sourav Ganguly in 2003, if that's a fair comparison to make.
I think it is a fair comparison because if you look at something that Pat Cummins spoke of, he did almost sound like, Sourav Ganguly, he can be affable, but he knows when to pull out that whole pantomime villain side of him. Because at the press conference before the game yesterday, when Pat Cummins was asked about, being in a final where the overwhelming majority of fans are going to be against you, he said, we've been dominant before, so this is like a new reality for us, something that they are still coming to terms with. But then they said there's no greater satisfaction than shutting up a completely overwhelming crowd that is trying to root against you. So, I mean, that was a little bit of I don't know how comfortable Pat Cummins is playing a villain, but well, there you have it.
But there's the other thing that he said which really caught my attention as well. And it's not like in your face sledging over here, but there are very subtle things that he's done in the press conference. Say, for example, you mentioned about him saying how to silence a big partisan crowd pe usne jo ek विशेष टिप्पणियां दी उस पर. But the other thing he said actually that he didn't say was that caught my attention. So he was asked about the pitch, right? As always, the pre-match press conferences, there is at least one or two questions about the pitch. Pat Cummins was asked about it. And his response was interesting because he said that, we're not like too concerned and blah, blah, blah. And then he ended the answer by saying that, it's the same pitch that I think Pakistan played against some team over here. And he didn't take India's name. So that's another way of him kind of, trying to just rile up the Indian fan base.
And I think Indian fan base ko rile up hone mein kitna der lagta hai yaar. Matlab, we are always at the edge of our seats anyway. We are looking for somebody to try rile us up. Oh, bichare Pakistanis have been playing so nice from the time they...
Yeah, true.
We are still pissed off about, I don't know what we are pissed off about because bichara Shaheen Shah Afridi is coming and giving gifts to Jasprit Bumrah because beti hui hai or something like that. And so I mean, if he's actually trying to rile us up, I don't know if we are maybe just imagining it or maybe he's actually tried to do that. But if he's tried to do that, well, congratulations to him. Kuch to spice aayega. Because I mean, a lot of people have looked at this and said that, it's a very, very dominant Indian team that you are going to be facing the Australians. You have everybody in the 11 knows their role, knows what they have to do, what they don't have to bother about. Like somebody like a Rohit Sharma knows exactly what he's supposed to do, give a flying start to the Indian team. You know what a Shubman is supposed to do. You know what a Virat is supposed to do. So us tarah se there is like a very settled look to the Indian team. The Australians, I'm not sure, Mihir. I mean, going into the final, थोड़ा सा I think Australia के ऊपर थोड़े से doubts है, unless there is another Glenn Maxwell innings that he pulls off where he does not have to use his legs at all. I think थोड़ा सा तो बेचारों पे ग्रहण रहेगा कल के मैच में.
I mean, I wouldn't put my money against Australia anywhere, especially on big occasions like this, but you're right in a way. I guess more than Australian batting lineup looking weak, it's the case of Indian bowling looking very strong. Now, of course, we'll come to that. But you mentioned Australian batting. Now, Maxwell is someone who थोड़ा सा मतलब शाहिद अफरीदी जैसा फील है, right? उसका जब दिन आएगा तब वो मारेगा, but say 6 or 7 times out of 10, he's going to struggle. At least that's my very superficial analysis of his batting. I'm no expert, claim to be no expert on his cricket. 2 players here, I think, जो थोड़े से ऐसा thorn in the Indian team बनके from an Indian point of view बनकर आएंगे, वो एक तो the openers. I'm not as much worried about Travis Head, David Warner. Of course, if they give Australia a flying start, then of course they'll be unstoppable. But Mitch Marsh, when he gets going at number 3, I think gives some solidity there. Steve Smith is due a big innings. So I think वो वाला एक factor काफी एक मतलब मंडराता रहेगा on the Indians. He loves big occasions again, one of those players who thrives on circumstances like these. Manas Labuschagne, I think we spoke about it in the last pod, and I still don't know why he's rated so highly. Of course, he's great in the field and all, but batting sense, I'm still kind of not convinced. So there are holes there. And then there's Maxwell, Josh Inglis, on and off slightly in this tournament. But Amit, one player, who's really kind of stood out for me for not his stroke play or anything, but just sheer stubbornness is Pat Cummins. Now, if Indian bowlers get through the top 5 of Australian batsmen and then you're looking at number 7 and the bowling tail end of Australia, I think it'll be very tricky how Indians deal with Pat Cummins, because you've seen at least 2 matches now. The brilliant defensive job, the brilliant side actor role that he played against Afghanistan with Maxwell doing all the heroics there. That was outstanding. And also against South Africa in the semi-finals when Australia were under pressure, I think Cummins with the bat showed a lot of calmness. I mean, his form with the ball has been kind of questioned. People are talking about whether, captaincy pressure is affecting his bowling and stuff. But with the bat, he's been extremely responsible. So how India handles him and the tail end of Australia is something that I'm really keen to see, because again, it'll be like sluggish pitch, slow pitch. So assuming Jadeja and Kuldeep Yadav will be there are talks about Ashwin, but I'll be very surprised if Rohit tinkers with his playing 11. So yeah, that's one matchup I'm very excited about.
I think, Mir, you touched upon this, but I think what I'm most excited about is just the opening too. Because we know how much Travis Head and Warner like to attack bowlers. And you have somebody like a Jasprit Bumrah, maybe a Siraj also coming up top, maybe a Shami coming in at some point. Just to see that trio going up against the opening duo, that is going to be, I think, my matchup, which I am very keen to see, because that is where the match could essentially be made or broken. And just to come back to, I think, these underrated thorns, in a sense, that could be in India's skin, I think Adam Zampa, even though he's Australia's leading wicket taker so far in the tournament, with I think 22 wickets, but we still haven't given him as much credit as he should be getting, especially his numbers against right-hand batters, right? The leg spinner has an average of, I think, 15.8 against right-handers, whereas against left-handers, it falls to 40.6. So that is going to be something that will hold a key, especially because, I mean, you have 6 right-handers at the top of the innings until Jadeja comes in. So that is something that I feel will be slightly critical once the Indian team is batting and you have the spinners coming on.
Yeah, and I mean, since we are at statistics, I think another interesting stat from this final will be Shami against the openers. I mean, it's incredible that, just in 6 matches, he's taken 23 wickets. But when he's bowling against left-handers, and since you mentioned the openers, Amit, both Travis Head and David Warner are left-handers, and Shami's figures against them. He's bowled 52 balls. He's taken 8 wickets, averaging 4. So that's a big upper hand he has over there, especially if he gets through to David Warner, who's been on excellent form. He's doing what Rohit Sharma has been doing for the Indian team. So if he gets that job done for India up top, then I think it will be again swinging in India's favor. But focusing on India, Amit, हमने 2003 से कंपेयर किया. हमने हमारे आई थिंक पूरे चाइल्डहुड का ट्रॉमा, इंस्पिरेशन, एवरीथिंग हैज बीन ऑस्ट्रेलिया. एंड वीव स्पोकन अबाउट हाउ मतलब वो जो एक येलो ऑस्ट्रेलिया का था, इट बिकेम दिस होल एक सिंबल ऑफ dominance for India, color of dominance, and how, I feel that this blue has that shades of yellow. And do you think, a lot of players that are in the Indian team right now, they kind of command the same level of admiration, same level of respect, not just in India, but even outside India? That was what made Australia great, right? Even if you were an Indian, agar jo Australians aapki band baja rahe, but still you would at the end of the day stand up and clap for Adam Gilchrist or Ricky Ponting or Glenn McGrath. I think it's that level of skill, that level of personalities that the Indian team has. Depends what side of the fence you were at. Simons was... I'm trying to compare Simons to someone in this Indian lineup. Can't think of any right now. Maybe later in the episode agar jayega. But yeah, you're right. Just, do you think that the skills and the personalities of these Indian players, they override nationalities, and they've kind of appealed to even an average fan in Australia or Pakistan or England?
Here, I think if you look at the Indian team right now, over the years, there has maybe been... See, every player has their own personality. But I think when you look at the current Indian 15, I think only maybe somebody like a Virat Kohli has that potential in him to have that cult figure outside of India. Because he's somebody who maybe the Australians, when they look at him, they identify with him as being the brash guy who's a motor mouth, who will sledge you back, who will not hold back his invectives when things get tough. I don't know, maybe except for one or two random clips on the internet, I've never seen Rohit Sharma be very abrasive against anybody. He's somebody who has a very comical side to him. You look at him when he turns up at press conferences, it usually is some kuch aise time pass. He's chuckling. He's trying to lighten up the mood. He's never not confrontational as such. Virat has that streak.
Rohit Sharma is the kind of a person जिसको शायद you'll bump into a local train in Mumbai and मतलब उस type का उसका personality. Like I can totally imagine him standing on the doors of a local train और वैसे ही मतलब हंसी मजाक कर रहा है लोगों के साथ. You'll bump into him and you won't even realize कि इतना बड़ा star player है. He's got that kind of casual vibe to him.
Yeah, absolutely. And Virat is the one who, if you meet him in a local train, you probably want to stand maybe opposite him, not too close to him, because he's probably going to be eyeballing you for standing too close to him or something. So yeah, I think just to answer the question, of all the Indian players, I think Virat is the one who maybe the Australians might look at and see a bit of themselves in him. At least the teams that they used to have, back in the day, the feisty characters, the conveyor belt of characters that they used to pull out. I'm not saying that all of them were like completely abrasive, completely in your face, but they knew when to turn up the aggression. Even somebody as a Shane Warne, who was like a very jovial guy who liked to have fun, live at large, he also knew when to turn up the intensity. So I think Virat is maybe the one. I don't know if you feel that there is some player that from the Indian team that the rest of the world might look at and see a bit of themselves in them.
I think Shami now. I think Shami is starting to command a lot of respect. That's what I noticed during the semi-final. But yeah, you're right. Virat ka universal appeal jo ek hai, that is kind of unparalleled right now in Indian cricket. The only other batsman I think who would have got is Sachin Tendulkar, and of course the comparisons are obvious between the two. But Amit, emotions aside, what do you feel of the final? Everyone's saying that it's India's to lose, but I strongly believe that to consider Australia as underdogs will be a big, big mistake.
Yeah, I think, Mihir, the overwhelming sentiment when we were watching the second semi-final was that if South Africa comes into the final, India will have a better chance. I think that mentality speaks a lot of where we are at. But see, I don't know whether this is just a mindset that the fans have because of, as you said, 20 saal purana trauma jo hamara reh chuka hai with the Gilchrist and the Simons and the Haydens and the Pontings of the world trashing our bowlers in the World Cup final and things like that, and successive tournaments and previous tournaments before that. So maybe this is something that comes from that mindset, but maybe the players don't feel that. Maybe if you were to take a peep into and maybe tomorrow we'll find out the actual answer to this, where what are the Indian players actually feeling? Do they also think कि South Africa आया होता तो it will be easier? या are they looking at Australia and saying यार इनको तो हमने properly हराया था when we met them in the group stages? So I mean, they don't look as intimidating, because the one other thing also is that हम ऑस्ट्रेलिया के साथ इतनी बार खेल चुके हैं, especially in Indian conditions. I mean, yeah, this also goes to the point that you made that, we shouldn't consider Australia as the underdogs and not think that, these are conditions that are slightly alien to them, because they've come here for the test series at the start of the year. Just before the World Cup, there was a 3 ODI wala series. And right after the World Cup gets over, in fact, next week se hum T20I series khelenge unke sath. So Australians will be at home. And yeah, our producer Shashank has asked a very pertinent question. He's asking,
interesting question. Yeah.
I think he's asking what the Australian team is thinking possibly at the moment when it comes to the final tomorrow. Mihir, any prescient guesses?
Well, that's an interesting question, Shashank, must say. I think they will be kind of reveling in this whole atmosphere right now. I have a strong feeling. I think they'll be enjoying the fact that the whole attention is away from them. It's on India, and it's in situations like this that they are also very dangerous. I mean, there is this streak of ruthlessness in them, even whether we like to admit it or not right now. They know that if there is any country, any team that can really give India a close call, it is them. So that's another thing. But I think they'll be very quietly confident. There is a lot of talk about the pitch and everything, but they'll also kind of know that the legacy of the past Australian sides, that's also resting on them. I can't remember when was the last time an Australian team reached the final of a World Cup and did not win. Maybe 96. Uske baad to I think wo sab time was final पहुंचे और जीते ही हैं. That's the legacy. That's the thing that Pat Cummins would surely not want to have in front of his name. So that would be driving them. And the fact that he's already mentioned the whole prospect of silencing 132,000 people that will be there in the stadium. उसमें से I'm guessing 100 से ज़्यादा Australians नहीं रहेंगे. So you can imagine the kind of atmosphere there will be. So for him to even say that, we're looking forward to silencing the crowd, I think that will make, that says a lot about their mindset as well. So yeah, it will be interesting to see. Just one last thing, Amit, before we bring in Shashank and call this a day. We mentioned the crowd. I mean, I don't know if anyone listening to this podcast has dared to make the trip to Ahmedabad, but we'll be very interested to listen to your experiences. So do write to us at sports@indianexpress.com. But Amit, last I saw the internet, there was a ticket being sold for 8,51,000. It's a VIP ticket. Among the many things it promises is food, brushing shoulders with VIPs, whoever that could be, and watching the match from, the grandstand. Would you be paying 8,51,000 if you had?
I mean, only if the ticket promised me like a ride in the Surya Kiran before the match. I don't know. Maybe like a seat right next to David Beckham during the match. After the match, I don't want to get into what I would have wanted.
No, I mean, if it's giving me the opportunity to face a one ball from Pat Cummins with like 100 pads on and 2-3 helmets and everything, then yeah, it might be worth it. Shashank Bhargava, producer, I'll be very interested to know, you've come off a very luxurious vacation. So, workation, chalo, before you say it wasn't a vacation, you have come from a very luxurious workation. Seems like you can afford a 8,51,000 ka ticket here.
Just for Shashank and everybody else listening, this person who's selling the ticket has 4 tickets, by the way. So, in case you want more people, if you have more people in your posse, go for it.
I cannot afford such things unless some government agency, some billionaire, Adani Ambani is sponsoring it. I'm sorry, it's not even in my...
You'll be in the Adani stand, but...
yeah. But I can't believe I'm saying this, but I'm really looking forward to watching a cricket match. And I haven't said that in years.
Wow.
So...
Yeah, at least from the time game time has begun, I haven't heard these words coming out of your mouth.
Yeah, man. I'm oh, let's prepare popcorn. Let's make this an event. Let's do this. I'm at that level.
So who do you think will win? Stick your neck out.
I want to say it seems like India's gonna like such a great streak. It seems like, I mean, to be honest, like I want this to be an exciting match. I don't want it to be
ये तो यार
one-sided.
क्या काफी cop out answer है यार ये, seriously. I mean, one time you say that you want to watch cricket and you come up with a very cop out answer, Shashank. Very disappointing.
No, I'll tell you. It seems likely that India is going to win. Okay. I just hope they don't win by a huge margin or anything, because then I think the match won't be as exciting.
Fair enough.
Yes, Shashank, I think as somebody who's just joined the fandom of the Indian cricket team, I think you are doing it wrong. हम जितना dominantly जीत सकते हैं, that would be a good thing. Because, I mean, I don't know if you were there, you had watched the 2003 final. Those kind of things, like, they're a bruise to the psyche, and that is what we want to inflict on the team. We don't just want to beat them. We want to completely decimate them.
No. Then the next generation will get.
नहीं, अगर हम 1-2 विकेट से जीत रहे तो आई डोंट थिंक वो ऐसा, मतलब वो मॉरल विक्ट्री उनके लिए हो जाएगा बॉस. मतलब हमारे घर पे आके दे आर सर्वाइविंग एंड जस्ट लूजिंग बाय 2 विकेट्स, तो मतलब मजा नहीं है उसमें. मैं आई विल नॉट पे 8 लाख
लेकिन
रुपीस.
से अच्छा यहाँ पर ऑस्ट्रेलिया में आके खेलते तो हम
आई एम सेइंग आई विल नॉट पे 8 लाख रुपीस फॉर दैट ना. मतलब 2 अच्छे से हराओ यार उनको. Is my point.
No, I stick with my stand. I want like last ball 6 and all that. Like that's where the fun is.
Oh, well, we don't want fun. But, you know, I mean, I don't think we're already running out of time. So I genuinely feel, और ये थोड़ा सा कह दो, you can say that it's the dread that a sports fan endures, because इतना ज़्यादा confident है सब लोग for an Indian win कि अभी मुझे लग रहा है कि इसमें कुछ उल्टा ही होने वाला है. मेरा वो थोड़ा सा dread start हो रहा है. It's starting to sink in now. But we shall see how it goes. I have nothing else to add today, Amit, Shashank. If there's anything else, we can close this and let everyone get down to the countdown for the match.
You were listening to Express Sports by the Indian Express. This show was edited and mixed by Suresh Pawar and produced by me, Shashank Bhargava. If you like the show, then do subscribe to us wherever you get your podcasts. You can also recommend the show to someone you think will like it. Share it with a friend or someone in your family. It's the best way for people to get to know about us. You can also tweet us at Express Podcasts and write to us at podcasts@indianexpress.com.